Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Future Day 2014. The unique event, thank you for coming. We have an immense responsibility in this room. There are other Future Day events, but they're totally focused on the question, what should we do? It's Future Day, and what should we talk about? Whereas we're actually focused on the idea that one could create a credible holiday that people might actually pay attention to. And so as far as I know, we're the only ones in the world who care about the practical aspects of making this holiday succeed. And so I thank you for being part of that venture today. Now I'm just going to quickly go through some components of what one would need to make a successful new holiday. The idea of the holiday is to raise spirits and stimulate interest in the technological singularity, which is the merger of humans and machines, and the idea of machines taking over the future agenda of the world, predicted to occur in 2045, through a new holiday, Future Day. The first Future Day in Edmonton was small, right, Joel? But it occurred, and so you'll recognize how happy an occasion it was. And that year, there were 16 events worldwide. And we thought, that this will go exponential. And the next year, there might be 32 or 64, or who knew how many. But actually, the opposite occurred. That this seems to be a kind of a shrinking event. And if anything, 2012 was the honeymoon period of greatest peak interest. And worldwide interest seems to have diminished since then. Until very recently, this and an event in Melbourne, Australia, were the only events scheduled for 2014. And then in the last few days, there were a bunch of other events, but they're not very well described. Most of them just have a city and a person and no details. So as you know, we have a lot of details. Those are the names of the cities. And Julie Lynn Wong is here. And we're planning in the future a very, very interesting event at the Art Gallery Edmonton Salon to compete with the Paris Salon of 100 years ago. But we are not ready for that in 2014. So we're going to give Julie Lynn another year to sort of get this organized, really spectacular event in 2015. The students have helped a lot in generating ideas for what we should do in 2014. And we have representatives of the students here today, including the medical students taking this course as an elective. So what should a holiday have? Holiday needs pageantry, ceremony, needs memorable look and feel, and probably food and all sorts of things. You think of the other holidays that you know, they're not just like a something, they're like a something that you immediately gives you this cascading imagery of all sorts of experiences unique to that holiday. So one thing we had in mind is the Holi festival in Asia, where they sprinkle these brightly colored pigments on each other. Now in the beginning, these brightly colored pigments were hard to find because they came from plants, they were all benign and everything. And now they're really easy to find because they come from paint factories and they're highly toxic and all sorts of interesting medical diseases created by sprinkling these toxic substances on people. But we would like to do it in a benign, non-toxic way, and this gives you some idea of what that's like. And many of you will never have experienced anything quite like this, and it brings all sectors of humanity together. The janitor, the people that you never ordinarily talk to. During this holy festival, everybody's sprinkling these brightly colored pigments on everybody else. And this is what it looks like in a crowd. can imagine some very weird stuff goes on in those crowds. There's somebody celebrating the Holy Festival. And if that doesn't quite do it for you, there are other extremely non-toxic ways to get that kind of visual effect. One is by doing a time-lapse photograph of your Roomba robotic vacuum cleaner, which also gives you this multicolored thing. If that doesn't do it for you, then there's the idea of the hot air balloons. And you can create very colorful images with hot air balloons. Well, you'd have to have a poem. You need poetry. You need song lyrics. You need stuff like that for a successful holiday. And one poem, if you go to my Facebook page, the only poem, hello, I can relax now. No, that's okay. It's good to keep the guy up there speaking a little bit on his toes, you know. Anyway, so if you go to my Facebook page, for a long time, the only poetry on there not written by me has been this poem called the Crayola Bomb poem. And I think this is kind of the spirit of what I'd like to see in this holiday. Maybe we should develop a Crayola bomb as our next secret weapon, a happiness weapon, a beauty bomb. And every time a crisis developed, we would launch one. It would explode high in the air, explode softly, and send thousands, millions of little parachutes into the air, floating down to earth, boxes of Crayolas. We wouldn't go cheap either. Not little boxes of 8, boxes of 64, with a sharpener built right in, and with silver and gold and copper and magenta and peach and lime and amber and umber and all the rest. And people would smile, get a little funny look on their faces, and cover the world with imagination. So anyway, I don't know whether these things will end up having anything to do with Future Day, but we have to start somewhere. Now, today, I have decided to try to merge the people in my life interested in technology and future of medicine stuff and Leonard Cohen stuff. Maybe somebody in this room doesn't know who Leonard Cohen is. He's iconic poet, singer, songwriter, Canada's best-known poet. And I came to acquire some time ago pictures of the ladies that he celebrated in the song, the Sisters of Mercy. And you will see we're really crafty about you're not being able to tell the identity of these ladies. But we're planning an event in 2016 to celebrate the 50th year of a very special period in Leonard Cohen's life in 1966. And I'm going to show you another PowerPoint now and give you an idea about that event. Okay. So in 1966, Leonard Cohen spent 5 weeks here as a guest of the Department of English. He'd been asked for only 1 week or a few days, but he didn't really have anything else to do, and he decided to hang out here for 5 weeks. And during that time, he went from being an ordinary person to a celebrity with people trying to go see him all the time, and all his gigs were standing room only, and people couldn't get in the door, and that had never happened before. And there was so much commotion in his hotel room from all the fans trying to come see him that he was actually kicked out of the Mac Hotel and went down a few blocks to the Alberta Hotel, and that's where he wrote the song, The Sisters of Mercy. And these are the gateway pictures for the article about his visit in 1966. And that's what he looked like at that time. And that's what the students looked like at that time. Fashionable dress, the fuel for the performances. This is a picture of what the campus looked like in '66, and the campus today. And the home, the house where the Sisters of Mercy lived, was a house not that far from here. This is what it looked like. I've been there several times. This is, the Sisters of Mercy had a basement apartment, and they lived down there. And now, if you go there, that home has been completely demolished and replaced with a large dormitory, Tamarack House. So I have a secret plan to interest the people now living in Tamarack House and taking part in this 2016 Leonard Cohen event. So Mallory Chipman and Ken Chapman and Chapman, eh? Pretty cool, eh? They're sitting up on either sides of the aisle back there. They are planning, or I'm planning, that they will play a big part in this 2016 event. So their presence here is part of the merging of my Leonard Cohen interests and other interests.